Hi guys, welcome to Clash Club. This is Mag here for yet another video on Clash of Clans. Today we're going to exclusively discuss on super troops and what changes that we would recommend so that super troops actually are as super as they're supposed to be. So let's look at Super Barbarian first. They started very well as they're the first super troop, but for some reason they don't establish their presence out there as a super troop. My recommendation is instead of a housing space of 5, they should be brought down to a housing space of 3, which means people will try more Super Barbarian and they would make their presence felt as well. The next is Super Archer. Super Archer is impressive with its damage 132 and hit points 510, but if you look at housing spaces 12, no one would prefer a Super Archer over a Wizard. A Wizard is more powerful and it does more damage than Super Archer in general. So I would say make the Super Archer compete with Wizard and bring it down to 5. 12 at this point of time, I don't think so many would even try Super Troop, specifically the Super Archer. Super Giant again started very impressive. I don't think so a lot of changes required to be done, but rather make a Super Giant as like a double giant. So increase the damage per second and the hit points a little bit more, but the housing space looks good. I don't think so any changes are required in housing space, but I would say damage per second might have to be increased to 150 and the hit points be increased to 4500. A minor change would give them enough. Sneaky Goblin. Sneaky Goblin, housing space at 3 looks very good. Damage per second 160, hit points at 270. Looks more or less pretty good, guys. I don't think so a lot of changes required here. But again, I don't see a lot of people trying Sneaky Goblin off late, so maybe a slight push here. Hit points 300 would actually do more justice to Sneaky Goblin. Super Wall Breaker, so they're not making their presence felt once the siege machines have entered. And for a housing space of 8, it just doesn't make sense, guys, at all. So maybe I would say bring the housing space to 4, reduce it by half. More people will try it. So I would say definitely a push is required for Super Wall Breaker. A housing space of 4, more people will definitely try it. Super Wizard is the one that I have brought it in. I like the housing space concepts of 10. The damage per second 240, hit points is 500, everything looks good. The only concern I have for Super Wizard is the damage type is single target. While the Wizard is an area splash, why would I go for a Super Wizard with just a single target? So I would say it needs to be an area splash as well. That's the only change I would recommend for Super Wizard. Otherwise, Super Wizard has been super, but it might backlog. People would rather try 2 wizards over, I would say, 5 wizards over 2 super wizards, because it gets you area splash too. Inferno Dragon. I tried every different possible combinations of attack on Inferno Dragon, guys, and it did not make its presence felt like the way it did in Clash Royale. Clash Royale, it is a huge hit, specifically when the time it was brought in. Housing space of 15 looks good. Damage per second 75 to 1500 also looks good. Hit points 1900 also looks good. The only problem is the way it heats up between 75 to 1500 takes a lot of time. By the time an Inferno Dragon dies by itself. So I would say make it faster. Rather than 75 to 1500, reduce it. I would say increase the 75. Started with something like a 300 something, and then decrease the 1500 to say something like 1000, so that it makes some attack instantly rather than too long a time, because it's not just going to deal with one a tower like the way it's in Clash Royale. And Clash of Clans, as you know, it's gonna take on several defenses at a time, so for it being that slow, it's not that effective, guys. Super Minion. Super Minion has been very productive on defenses, but not the same during the attack. Again, housing space of 12 compared to Minion of 2. I definitely need some changes here, guys. Again, I would recommend something, bring it more consistent, reduce the housing space by half, 6. I think definitely people will love the concept of Super Minion if the housing space is reduced to half. Super Valkyrie, again, Valkyrie, when it was buffed, it became a monstrous hit. And since then the Valkyrie went on shade. If you look at it, Valkyrie is more like the Clash of Clans legendary card, which throws up the rage spell once it dies. I don't think so it is that effective in Clash of Clans, guys. So definitely some change is required here. Housing space of 20 doesn't argue well too. I would say bring it down to something like 15, and then increase the damage per second to something like 300. I think that would be of great help for Super Valkyrie. Super Witch is the one card I love. I have tested it out, it works very well. But my only concern is housing space of that being 40. Maybe nerf a little bit on damage per second, bring it down to say like 350, and then hit points to say like 3000, but bring the housing space back to 30, which means people can try the Super Witch in the defense war castles. Most people don't have 40, specifically the Town Hall 10s and 11s, they have 35ish, so they cannot even try the Super Witch. So it would be awesome if Super Witch housing space is brought down to 30, and a little bit nerf on the damage per second to 350, and then hit points to 3200 will argue the balance as well. Because if you look at it, compared to having one Super Witch at the housing space of 40, I would rather have say like 3 witches and then a wizard for that same housing space, and a witch can throw around 5 skeletons, so like 15 skeletons over one giant skeleton. It sounds not quite super out here, guys. So maybe a little bit a nerf in the damage per second hit points, and then buff in the housing space by reducing it to 30 would do an amazing change on Super Witch. And finally, the Ice Hound. Didn't try a lot. Maybe I would say 1 or 2 attacks here and there. The housing space of 40 doesn't augur well, though. I would rather try the Lava Hound at 30 compared to Ice Hound. Yes, you can claim that it's going to throw an freezing spell something, but if you imagine, it's going to go towards the air defense while rest of your troops are going to lag behind. It's going to go rush towards the air defense, and then it's going to die, and then it's going to throw a freezing spell out there. It doesn't really augur well, guys. So I really don't know what changes that we can bring in for High Sound, but housing space of 40 doesn't make it a great one. I would say reduce the movement speed a bit, reduce to say like 10 or something, so that it doesn't rush too far compared to the rest of the troops, so it locks the air defense as well, and then reduce the housing space to say like 35, and then say like freeze time when destroyed 3.5 second, increase that to or say make it more consistent towards the freeze spell itself, something like 7 seconds rather than just 3.5 seconds. So these are some of the changes that we would love to see in the Super Troops, guys, so that more people try it. And the last but not least, say like just do 2 Super Troops at a time. I would say make some more changes in that too. Maybe like bring it like 5 Super Troops a time. Because if you look at it, I have 300k Dark Elixir. I cannot use Dark Elixir anywhere. I cannot use it in the walls like the way I can do it on Elixir and Gold. So I would rather try to use it on Super Troops, and that's the major intention of bringing the Super Troops as well, if I'm correct. So why limit to just 2? Why not expand it to say like 5, if not for everything? Hope you guys like this video, guys. If you do, please post some like and comments at the end of the video. This is Mag here signing off until I see you on yet another video for Clash of Clans. Take care. Bye-bye.